The Swedish Kurbits painters were poor people. They were farmers who had got permission from the king to sell paintings to be able to survive. The typical Kurbits paintings originate from a small area in Dalarna in Sweden, from the villages in the Leksand parish. They are also called dalmålningar, which means Dala Paintings, paintings from Dalarna. And Dalarna literally means the valleys, but it is also the name of a province in Sweden. Dalarna, which is in the middle of Sweden, has become one of the main symbols for Sweden because the whole province is typical Sweden. So it feels like it is the heart of Sweden, especially the Kurbits paintings from Leksand, but also Dalahästen, the Dala horse, which is made of wood and painted, decorated, and also the furniture paintings from Rättvik. In that typical furniture style, I've made only one painting, and that is this one. And some other paintings here that other people have made. And here is a Dala horse. People often call this Kurbits, but there are no Kurbits on it. This is just ordinary decorative painting, and this is what the normal Dala horse looks like. But people probably call it Kurbits only because it comes from Dalarna. But now today people have started to make Kurbits patterns also on these horses, but that is a new invention. The Kurbits comes from Leksand and the Dala horse comes from Mora. It is not the same place and it is not the same style. Also, the furniture paintings are often called Kurbits. It has just become a habit to say so. But this is not the first time that there has been some kind of controversy about this word. It was the same in Rome when they translated the Bible. They made wrong translations and then they quarreled about it. The painters in Leksand made clearly visible gourds or pumpkins or cucumbers between the flowers. Such a gourd is cucurbita in Latin, and cucurbita became the Swedish word kurbits. In the area of Leksand, these gourds were made very big and later also decorated. You can clearly see that this is not a leaf or a flower. It is the fruit of the plant. These decorations are made in a very symmetrical way, and it is a very disciplined way of constructing the patterns. It is very close to mandala painting, which is also very precise and symmetrical, and good for meditation. In the Leksand area, there were several painters who made Kurbits paintings, and many of these paintings were very similar to each other, because the painters, they were also copying each other's paintings, because the purpose was not to be a unique artist. The purpose was to produce something that they could sell. It was a handicraft, and people in the same area learned from each other. It is obvious that the Leksand painters have put a strong emphasis on these Kurbits fruits. So I suppose it meant something to them. It had a religious significance, because in the Bible this was something that came directly from God. Fruits can often be symbols of abundance and good fortune. My feeling is that the Leksand painters were in a specific religious fantasy world that the Rättvik painters did not know anything about. So most likely they did not have contact with each other. The Leksand painters are in heaven and they paint heavenly flowers, not realistic ones, spiritual fantasy flowers, and big fantasy fruits, while the Rättvik painters are still on earth, even if they also made sceneries from the Bible. The pictures are more mundane. There is something special, some kind of magic about the paintings from the villages in Leksand. When I look at the paintings from Leksand and Rättvik, the ones that I have found, then I cannot see any gods on the Rättvik paintings. They are more like normal paintings. So they could be ordinary paintings from anywhere. There are many leaves on the plants, but these leaves sometimes have a form that is very similar to gourds. They often painted something that is between leaves and gourds. So it can be possible that there was an idea behind the Kurbits fruits, an idea that was kept as a secret by the Leksand painters. So maybe we can say that they were involved in a ceremonial painting, like people in the old times also did in other ways. People have always been making signs and pictures when they wanted to communicate with the gods and spirits. It kind of goes hand in hand. And these are spiritual paintings. As the people in Rättvik made paintings where you cannot see any of the typical gods, I think that logically there is no reason to call them Kurbits paintings. And it is also the typical Leksand style that has become the symbol of Sweden. But in daily speech it is a little bit different, because almost all folkloristic decorative paintings can today by some people be called Kurbits. And that is because people do not know the meaning of the word Kurbits. They often believe that it means any kind of folk painting, or at least the paintings from Sweden and Norway. But the decorative folk paintings from Norway, they are called rosamaling, which means rose painting. That is the old expression for this kind of decorations, also in Sweden. We can also say that in this way the word Kurbits has developed into having a new significance. So I don't know if I should say that the word is being used in the wrong way, or if I should say that it has developed into having a new meaning. It is both. If you read about Dala paintings, you can see that often these Kurbits fruits are called svällblad, which means swollen leaves. But they are not leaves, they are the fruits. They are gourds, cucumbers, at least in Leksand. So maybe it was the people in Rättvik and some other areas who believed that the Leksand painters were making swollen leaves. In Leksand, they knew that they were painting big fruits, because you can clearly see it on the paintings by Winter Carl Hansson, who is the big master in Leksand. If you look at the Rättvik paintings, you can get the impression that they have painted swollen leaves. But fruits are symbols of abundance, not leaves. So why would they paint swollen leaves? There was nothing in the Bible about swollen leaves. So it's a strange idea. Anyway, the Rättvik paintings have something in common with the Leksand paintings, because they come from the same time, they come from Sweden, and they are also almost from the same area in Dalarna. I prefer the Leksand paintings with all these symmetrical patterns. To make a precise pattern can be difficult, So you have to concentrate, and this concentration turns the painting into a good meditation technique. I don't see this with the Rättvik paintings. The leaves are not arranged in any way. There's nothing symmetrical. The leaves are often randomly pointing in all directions, like they are in nature. So it is a more naturalistic way of painting a plant. The Rättvik painters are painting this world with natural plants. So making a Leksand painting makes the mind focused, and making a Rättvik painting makes the mind scattered. At least I think so. In the furniture paintings from Rättvik, there is a wooden frame that is hindering the painting from floating out. So the painting gets focused and concentrated in that way. There are some exceptions from this. Here we have Erik Hansson from Rättvik, Björn-Anders Hansson from Gärdsjö in Rättvik, and Mats Persson Stadig from Bjursås. These paintings have very disciplined patterns in the same way as in Leksand, but we cannot see any gourds on them, only leaves, which can be a little bit similar to gourds. So they did not have the intention to focus on painting any big fruits. So the idea of making beautiful, abundant, heavenly big fruits, that was a secret that was kept in Leksand. And it was also the Leksand pattern that became famous as a symbol for whole Sweden. This kind of folkloristic painters do not seem to like empty spaces. So if there is an empty space somewhere, they just put a flower on it. To be avoiding empty spaces is called horror vacui. But I think that an empty space can also be a symbol of poverty, because it looks like there is a lack of something. Something is missing. So the plants do not have to stand on the ground. They can also be growing in the sky. So especially the Leksand paintings can be quite surrealistic. But now I have decided to make such a Rättvik painting anyway, because they belong to the Dala paintings.